Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Vikanda Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Vikanda Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Vikanda Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Vikanda Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajanandana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Punjabi So today I want to read from the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text number, let's just see, text 23. I don't know if anyone's following. No. Everyone?
I know it's tough.
It's a tough one, yeah, it's controversial. You know, it's very controversial. After lecture, half will have left over. We'll never see them again. That's Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a controversial, tough book. It's not a wishy-washy book. It's not a book that tells you, yes, everything is okay. We should just be peaceful and love each other, and you're okay and I'm okay and everything is okay and just be happy. Sounds nice maybe, but that's not Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has things that are, some things are correct, some things are not correct. Something is true, some things are not true. That's Bhagavad Gita. And, by the way, that's also reality. That's also reality. It's, many have, you often meet the philosophies. Yes, everyone we have to. Everyone is okay because you all love each other. Everyone, we have to be brothers and sisters, and everyone should, we should just be peaceful and, just be happy together. So sounds nice. What about those who don't think like that? How do I know? I should respect everyone. That's kind of the idea. What about those who think that they should not respect everyone? Should I respect them? I should also respect them. But my philosophy is that we should respect everyone. Their idea is that we should not respect everyone. Can I respect those who think they should not respect everyone? There's a contradiction there. You can see that? So when it comes down to the real world, we don't work like this. It's a nice ideal. It's a very high spiritual ideal. We all, should love each other and tolerant and so on. And it's definitely it's a universal value, but also it has to be understood in terms of reality and actually understood how does it apply correctly. So that's reality. Bhagavad Gita is it's not such a heavy book, but sometimes it is. So here, this text 23 in the 16th chapter goes like this. It's Lord Krishna speaking. Ya shastra vidim utsridya varta te kamakarata nasa sitim avapnoti nasu hamna param gantim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Purport: as described before, the Shastravidi, or the direction of the Shastra, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed and desire, then he will never be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles, and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It's then and there that he can attain the highest perfection states, not otherwise. The word kamakarata is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. Ya Shastram, again the verse, Ya Shastram vidim utsridya vartate kamakarata nasa sitim avapnoti nasu hamna param gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So I guess the controversial thing here about this verse is it's a verse that talks about authority, and that one should lead one's life according to authority, which is somehow a highly controversial idea in the modern world for some reason. And Srila Prabhupada also, our founder Srila Prabhupada, was also sometimes confronted with that, and someone had a conversation that I'm working on where disciple of his comments that you will not be very popular because you are proposing to follow authority. And that's actually the Vedic way. One follows his life according to authority. There's authority in of scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic texts, and there are authorities of spiritual masters who are great self-realized souls, and also of general the assembly of sadhus, Vaishnavas, of saintly people, or people who are also practicing to become perfect. That's also an authority, and that's kind of the Vedic system. Everyone is following some kind of authority, leading their life according to authoritative directions. So that's when it's presented at first glance, it sounds controversial, and it's controversial in the modern world, where the idea is that we should basically just be free and do what we want to do. That's kind of the a very widespread idea. However, if one analyzes it, one finds out actually behind that, if you scratch the surface, then actually there's a very heavy authority being conducted all over this world. It's everyone is following authority. Actually, it's one of Krishna's points. One can follow the authority given in the scriptures and by realized souls for attaining spiritual perfection, and one can reject it. We have that free choice. We have free will. It's not. Some might think we do not have free will. We have free will. We can make choices, and there will be different consequences of the choices that we make. That's part of free will. There are consequences of what one chooses, and so we have that free will. But we might think, I choose to not follow, for example, here the scriptural injunction, and then I'll just be free and do what I like to do. I just want to do what I want to do. But Bhagavad Gita says that doesn't happen. You're not living without authority. You're still becoming. In one sense, if you just look at the world as such, there's so much authority from birth until death. When you're born, parents are your authority. Children are not without authority, and we actually think it's desirable that children should have authority. Just have small children from 3, 4, 5, 6 years running around doing whatever they like without anyone restricting them. No one really advocates that kind of child raising. They need protection. Then, in order to actually be free, child needs to be limited by authority. And as we analyze and as we grow up, child and becomes older, there's school, then there are one has to get a job, an occupation, then one has to fit into society. There's so much authority in society. There are employers and there are obligations to different kinds of parts of the society. There is government, there's taxes. Who wants to pay taxes voluntarily? Nobody. There's authority. You must pay taxes. If you don't follow, the civil authority, then there is a heavy police authority, that will enforce authority upon us, and it goes through the whole life. We can live our life within certain limit, but there's authority all the way. And it's not only a question of this society, something we can change it politically, and then we'll have a free society with no authority. But reality doesn't work like that, because our very life, our very situation is is also guided by authority. The authority of this material nature is there, behind all the, you might say, human authority. There is the authority of material nature is there. The authority that forced us to take birth. We didn't ask for it. We just took birth and happened to, we just were there. The authority that forces us to grow up and become, gradually as years goes by, then we become older, and then the body starts to degrade and become older, diseased, crippled maybe, and we die. And that's all authority. We don't want it. Who wants to die? Nobody wants to die really. Some are so fed up with living they want to die, but that's not a free condition. Normal people like to have a life that is living, happiness that doesn't end, and so on. But it has an end. Death is there. So that's authority too. So actually we are under strict authority. We are by nature actually we are eternal beings by nature, caught up in a world of samsara, repeated birth and death. We take birth from a previous lifetime. We had a previous lifetime. We take birth. We live in this lifetime for some years. We die. We take birth again, like that, and we simply being forced, being dragged from life to life to life. It's authority. Within this lifetime, we have a certain freedom. We can act as we like, but the reaction is not that is given by authority of material nature, and we'll take our next birth according to our actions in this life. There's no choice. It's not a. Sometimes some have the idea when it comes to reincarnation that it's kind of the intermediate states between one life and another is kind of you are in a spiritual dimension and you can kind of choose which life you want to live next lifetime. Almost you can go like you have some tourist brochures and now I would like to go to this destination and like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not. What according to Vedic scriptures, this is not what's going on. The consciousness at the moment of death brings one to the next lifetime. If one has a consciousness of a highly evolved being, a deva, a god or a demigod, one will take birth among such beings. If one has a consciousness of a human being, one will again take birth amongst human beings. If one has a consciousness of beings lower than human beings, one can take birth even as animals or even lower forms than that. It's forced. It's not. One has no choice at that. One is simply being brought to the next lifetime. So we are under strict authority all the time. We are under strict authority. Again, this idea I can do what I want. So that we have this idea about freedom. But Bhagavad Gita tells that no, you cannot do what you want to. You are a slave of your desires. You become a slave of your desires. Who has, where does these wants come from? I doing what I desire, but what's the origin of these desires? Actually, we find out don't really come from me. A lot of especially in the modern world, which is such a planned, scheduled world for most people, there are certain, in one sense, very obvious, very gross circles in the modern world who make money on placing desires in people. That's called advertisement. You don't need it. You're completely happy without it. You don't need it, but someone made it, and now they have to sell it. So then there's advertisement, and they'll advertisement tell you cannot live without it, or you'll become happier if you get this. Somehow this desire is placed in one through advertisement, and then one goes and buys it, and one doesn't need it, and then one finds out. But in this way, one becomes slave of desires, and one is manipulated. There's a lot of manipulation going on in this modern world. I think we're all aware of that. It's not a surprise. And so here, the point of Bhagavad Gita is that it's not by nature we are following authority. The spiritual life is reality is a structure. It's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy in nature of higher and lower. On top is the Supreme Lord. He's the highest authority, and everyone else is below him. And also there are higher beings, higher personalities within that hierarchy, and we fit into somewhere like that. And that's actually the spiritual world. There is a spiritual world beyond this material world. It's not a world of equality. It's a world of great inequality with authorities and so on. But the beautiful thing about it is that everyone likes it. everyone likes it. It's a world of complete freedom where actually beings are doing what they like to do. They like to work under authority. They like to serve higher. Because also we have a bad connotation to the word authority. But actually, if you look at sometimes some certain authorities we actually liked when we had, with our parents. Actually, we often liked them. We could see they were our authority, but they were not slave drivers. Actually, they were our authority for the benefit of us all the time. Actually, they were, maybe they were telling us what to do, but whom was it all about? It was actually for our own protection, for our own welfare. So that kind of authority is actually is not bad. And if one is a grateful person, one actually will start appreciating that kind of authority, because that's one point also. Children is an obvious example, but one says we're all children. Children don't know what is really good for them in all circumstances. Therefore, they need someone to tell them that life is not only meant just for playing all the time. Because if you have a child would just like, if you can just do whatever you want, to play the whole day. But parents know this is not going to work. You have to go to school and be educated and cultured and like that. Otherwise, your future will not look very good. So parents they guide their children like that. And in one sense, we all like children. We are not perfect beings. That's one point. We think we are. I hope I don't offend anyone, but you're not perfect beings, and I have to include myself. I'm a very imperfect being, and therefore, actually, to have someone higher authority who actually has deeper knowledge for what is actually for my benefit, guiding me, is actually a really nice situation, a nice position, and that's the idea behind the authority being talked about here in the Bhagavad Gita. It's not authority meant to make anyone slaves or take our freedom. No, actually, it's authoritative guidance that is meant to actually make us free, or as it says here, happy, perfect, and achieve the supreme destination. That's actually the idea of this authoritative guidance given in scriptures and given by spiritual masters and so on. If one wants to achieve these, because it is possible to achieve a very high perfection in human form of life, very high level of happiness that does not end with this life. It is in this life one can experience happiness in this very lifetime. Even this very day, very moment, this year. It can be like we just started the new year. We always wish each other a happy new year. It's actually possible. It's just not just, sometimes we just say words because, happy new year. And I guess in most cases we have reason to believe it's just some words. It's not going to happen. It's going to be just as horrible a year as the rest of the year. But it's possible to have a happy year. If it's done under proper, one is being guided properly by, the wisdom of the scriptures and of the sages and the spiritual masters. It actually is possible. And if one doesn't follow that authority, well, then one will not achieve it. That's the other side of it. The idea is that I want to guide myself. I want to follow my own way. I know sometimes come across some people who say like that. No, I don't follow. I have my own way. I have my own path. Nice. But it's just, what is it leading to? Well, first of all, one thing is that it's illusion to think that you have your own way, your own path. It doesn't exist. Just look at, there are 7 billion people on this planet. Do you think there's not one other person who's not doing pretty much what you're doing? That it's so unique, so original what you're doing that it has never been done before. There's been human beings for thousands and millions of years, and you think no one has ever done what you're doing right now. It's so unique. No, everyone is following. We're doing what hundreds and thousands and millions have done before. Whether we follow the authority, that's a path that has been walked by millions of people before. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita at earlier stage. Many achieved perfection in the past by following this path here. They became freed from, they purified their existence, and then they achieved perfection. They achieved ultimately love for me, and achieved the highest perfection. Many have done in the past. It's not. Don't think that if we start practicing spiritual life in Krishna consciousness, we'll become unique. No, we'll become completely. Millions have done it before. But also, if you follow the material path, some kind of material path, even we try to be very unique, and so on. There have been millions who've done it before, and it's so trivial. We think it's very unique. No, it's completely trivial. It's actually, Srimad Bhagavatam calls it punar punas chaviti tamananam. It's you're chewing what has already been chewed. Many have been chewed on the same thing and spit it out, and you pick it up and chew it again. It's completely tasteless. There is nothing original about that, and it doesn't. And even if it is original, but it's not original. But sometimes one may, I do it in a very original way, and I have a special haircut and clothes, and I paint some abstract pictures and put it on the wall, and I'm very original. So I don't know. No, it'll be the same thing again, over again. Maybe in a slightly different package, and not even that different. It will not lead to any kind of perfection. If one follows the knowledge and the guidance that is given in the Vedic scriptures, on the other hand, under the guidance of spiritual authorities, that's another point. We're not talking about only following what is in scriptures, in holy scriptures, which I just want to mention. Some will say, but these are just man-made scriptures. These are books are just written by people. Yeah, they're written by people. But that idea that this is just man-made is it's just an assumption. How someone you might meet someone. Of course, many times meet people. For example, because Bhagavad Gita is a fantastic book. Anyone who reads it will say this is not an ordinary book. So sometimes we try to convince people about actually your life will be happy. You get a good life by studying Bhagavad Gita and following it. And someone will say, but this is just written by some other human who had some opinion like that. But that's just an assumption. How do they know? How do they know? And then it comes down to actually some philosophical idea. Well, ultimately can do that. But there is nothing but humans. Okay, that's an atheist. That's just atheism. But who says atheism is true? Atheism is not true. We can make a long lecture on that. There is God does exist, and there is something behind this material world. This material world has a certain appearance, but it's not what we see, what meets the eye is not reality is much more than that. There's the idea of, you might say, naive realism, that reality is just what we see with our eyes and there's nothing more to it. No, there's a much more behind, a deeper existence behind. There's a spiritual existence behind. God does actually exist. And which means that knowledge is not limited to human beings, what we can just speculate our way to. Actually, it's possible to achieve higher knowledge. And who can say that Bhagavad Gita is not higher knowledge like that? Who can say that? It's a definite possibility. And